Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming this morning. I'm glad you all can make it. My title is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. It was called ARUX that makes you cry or laugh. We're going to be talking about the onboarding process and what I've found particularly frustrating in 100 plus apps that I've personally tested. So everything in here is based on experience, but it's totally opinion. So take it with a grain of salt. Here's who's giving you that opinion today. So my company, Heavy Projects, we're an AR design studio. We're distributed globally. Our team is LA, New York, London. I'm now in Boulder. So we're everywhere. We've won some awards. We've worked with some clients. This was last year's Augie winner. This was a mural installation in Geneva, Switzerland that we did for the University of Geneva, where we were turning a public plaza for a new medical school building into an interactive space for the students. In the center there is a digital representation of a neuron. We created a three-dimensional room set back into the building itself, turned the lab room into a pseudo-brain with right and left hemispheres, showing new types of way to learn about the neuron. Then the neuron shot little baby neurons into space around plaza at you, sort of figuring what a meme is. And a meme is not necessarily a captioned photo of babies and cats. A meme is actually an idea that gets spread from person to person. This is our entrant for this year's Augie. This is a mural we did for San Francisco Design Week at Pier 27 on the Embarcadero. This was designed to showcase AR as a design tool for interior designers, so they could use AR to move this impossibly complicated shape of a chair in the center all around the space. Because it was San Francisco, at a certain point, you could blow up the chair and turn it into a raised fist of protest. So we've built projects all around the world for American clients, for international audiences, multiple languages. These are some of the ones to come. You can find our app that has all these experiences called Heavy AR on the App Store. We're actually, with one of our brand clients, we're going to be turning that into a platform that will host and distribute other really cool AR experiences from other artists. So it won't just be ours. We're just a starting point. So that was just a real quick overcap of where we're coming from. I call this OnX, onboarding experience, and it's really important to get right. If you're going to go through the work of building a really cool AR experience, you want to make sure that your audience can figure out how to use it. It's not intuitive. Old software, right? Technical documentation. This is literally a blog post I found on Atlassian. 5 examples of beautiful technical documentation. It's like, what? Come on. This is just black text on a white screen. And it makes sense, though, because software is a really dense medium on a 2-dimensional screen. It's layered, it's got hierarchies, it's got really strange, unintuitive dependencies. So they have to write it all out. And oftentimes developers that then move into the AR world think of this as instruction. This is way wrong. Don't do that. This is old and busted. This is the new and hotness, right, from Men in Black. We've got space to work with. Space to breathe, space to experience, space to explore, unfortunately. And the explore part is often where the onboarding gets tripped up. This is an article on TechRadar, what AR needs to get right to win our hearts. I thought this point was particularly important. I'll just read it for the audience. When any kind of tech is developed, how it works and feels and integrates into your life is dictated by the team that creates it. So you have to have some correct intentionality when you're building these experiences. Don't just crap it out into the world. How many people have AR apps already published on the App Store? How many people are building some? Okay, so you guys have already thought about what kind of instruction sets do you need to provide to actually walk people through your experience. There's different ways to think about what you need to do for your experience, because not every experience is the same. Some are on magazines, some are out in world space, like what we do. This is anecdotally how we think about the brain. We're not scientists, but this is just sort of how we think about our users, our customers. On the left side is logical, analytical, linear. It's a predictive engine. On the right side, it's a metaphor engine. It's relational. It needs stories. And when you combine those two qualities, you get intuition, or that's what we think. So we want to create predictive stories for our onboarding, right? Something that people understand what's going to come next. It's not going to be a surprise, but it's engaging and draws you fully into the experience. Oh, I misspelled metaphor. Don't take pictures of that slide. So we're calling it predictive storytelling for the onboarding, for OnX. Some experiences are world space. What we're doing with ultra-large public art is world space. We want to engage people to walk around the space. So we prefer world-locked UI. How many people have heard of world-locked versus screen-locked? It's something that Google's starting to kick around as well. But we like that terminology because world-locked implies that you want to be out in the world interfacing with your experience. Screen-locked is for more like passive experiences on top of magazines, something where you can do where you're sitting in your office. Something where the UI itself is on the physical screen as opposed to situated on the table. Does your predictive storytelling need a 3-act structure? Does it need like the traditional ethos, pathos, logos? Probably not. It's awesome if you can do it, but you probably want to condense it a little bit. You don't really need a full story arc. You don't need character drama, but it helps because AR is real-life storytelling. But unlike stories, we've found that surprise endings just suck because people don't get it. It leaves them in the lurch. They can't figure out what to do next. So unless you're a master storyteller, like you're moving from the film world to AR as opposed to the software world to AR, don't do surprise endings. Here's an example of here's a list, and if you go to that bit.ly link up there, you'll see it's a public spreadsheet, it's a Google Sheet, where we've listed every ARKit app that we've tested. And this is just ARKit. This isn't even AR Core or just native stuff. I personally have tested roughly around 92, well, actually it's more than that now, because by the time you get through this many apps, they all have been updated and you need to go back and revisit them. So I apologize if I'm going to show some examples of what some of these apps do, of what we think not to do, what some are doing right. So I apologize if any of those apps have been updated in the meantime, but hopefully these will just serve as examples when we pull them up. So I apologize ahead of time if you're in the audience and this is one of your apps. Okay, so getting back to sort of what kind of experience have you created? If you're creating a sandbox environment where your AR is going to be out in the wild, out in the world, and you don't have any anchor points to tell people what they're working against, it's hard to predict what kind of environment they're going to be using your app in. So you kind of have to try to go for the lowest common denominator. Think about trying to cut your hair using a handheld mirror, looking in a mirror behind you. It's really kind of awkward. And now try doing that in a sandstorm, in a dark closet. And that's sometimes some of the environments that we have to try to account for. But also perspective, right? Because the whole wow factor of AR is when you get that perspective change and the software changes everything for you when you're looking at it. That's those wow moments that you're looking for with your customers when they say, oh my God, this stuff's moving with me. But that can also present problems because what happens if some of your UI goes behind or gets occluded by other digital artifacts? Now you can't really reveal that as an instruction set. So you have to understand where you're setting, where your users are walking into your experience and how do you get them through what they need to manipulate to actually use your experience. And this one, I'm surprised that people still get wrong. This is so common sense, right? The timing of your permissions. Permissions are essential. If you're using camera-based AR, you need the camera. If you're using location-based AR, you need location. But location now is becoming really sensitive for a lot of people. I don't want to share my location with where I'm using your app. Why do I need to do that? Can you explain it to me? So if the timing is not right, with this picture, if it was taken just a second before, there'd be no water in the scene. If it was a second after, she'd be already wet. You really wouldn't know what happened. So timing is crucial for your permissions. Don't just throw it up at the start of your app. You need the permissions in order for the experience to work. Okay, some examples. So Vuforia, if you don't know them, they're one of the biggest companies in the space. We thought they're going to do something right. Chalk is their instructional app. This is the first screen you get. Not a lot of context for what it's going to do for you. Second screen, They want me to send in my email address so that they can send me a verification code. Now I'm getting some notifications. They don't really explain why. Like, okay, what permissions do I need to grant them? Okay, more permissions, more permissions. Oh, now they want my contact list. They're going to spam my contacts. Why do they need my contacts? And then this is the last screen you get to. You don't even get a camera feed. You have no idea what you're using this app for. Why would you do this for your experience? Why would you onboard your users this way? This was really unsatisfying when we tested it. I'm sorry, guys, if you're on the Chalk team. Another one, Porsche, awesome brand, high-end luxury. They've got a lot of money to spend. This is the first screen you get, a permission. Second screen, sort of a little welcome. I guess it's necessary. Third screen, terms and conditions. Are you kidding me? I have to read a contract in order to figure out why I want to use your app. Okay, this starting to get a little bit better. It's give me some context, but this is screen-locked UI. It's kind of setting me up for the experience or expectation. If I'm sitting in my office and I'm doing this on my desktop, cool. I'm going to get a little die-cast model of a Porsche. I might be able to change the colors, play around with it. More instructions. Just says any flat surface. Here's my world marker. It's basically the size of somewhere in between a silver dollar and a pancake, roughly that big. Okay, I'm going to pick a model. We're kind of getting into it here. Boom. This is where you get dropped. You're like face first in the seat leather. You have no idea. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting to see a model of a car, but they're doing world scale on top of my desk, and they didn't prepare me for that. So now I've got to figure out, okay, what kind of space do I need in order to figure out where this stupid car fits in my office? I love the cars, but the experience wasn't set up right. IKEA Place. How many people have tried IKEA Place? This one I loved. How many people loved it? I loved it. I thought they did it really well. It's super friendly, right? It's set up as a chat bot. It's not really a chat because you can't type in any answers, but it's set up as like an interaction with the system. You basically click buttons to do your pre-canned answers as your chat. So in effect, the first screen is just your little chat sequence. Then they give you some chat that says, we just need the camera. So they're prepping you for your permissions. Now they're moved into, okay, here's some of the UI. This is screen-locked UI. They're not really setting you up for the scene yet, but here I can't really show it because it's a static photo, but that little icon kind of moves back and forth, gives you some sense of motion that you need to do some plane building. And then it launches into the furniture scene. So it works really well, and it's friendly. It pulls you in because it makes you want to interact with the system. It's a better little story. Pigeon Panic is a silly game where you're chasing virtual pigeons around, I don't know, a church courtyard or something, like you're a kid in Italy. I don't know, did you ever do that? Okay, so they're setting up some graphics. This is all on brand, right? All the notifications, warnings, all the post Pokemon Go, don't fall off a cliff warnings are on brand for them. They're setting, say, okay, well, you haven't played this before. They're able to tell that. So we do a lot of this where on first app open, we'll show you a different set of instructions than the second time you come back. That should be common sense for a lot of people. And then this is the plane building, and you're about to start playing. So effectively three screens, very quick succession, boom, right into the gameplay. And I apologize, I don't have any video of me running around my living room chasing the pigeons. It's actually kind of fun. Here's what we did for Geneva. We were working with a multi-language audience, right? Mostly French-Swiss, but a lot of English, some German. So we couldn't really do a lot of heavy instruction that's text-based because we didn't want to do a lot of translation work. So we decided to do short video clips of showing the device in action, finding the stuff, interacting with it, as opposed to on-screen static stuff. It worked okay. But here's a better example. Lightspace by Logical Animal. It's a world painting app. Kind of fun. It's Photoshop for ARKit. And they do 3 sequences of videos that are just really nicely done, very quick. And they show you the app in progress, like, okay, here's how you paint, here's what you do with it, here's how you move around the space. Very simple to do, not a lot of heavy production, but super effective. Liked this a lot. So this is where we think that the current instruction onboarding is really helpful, really kind of state-of-the-art, quote unquote. But Neil from PlaceNote, if you're still in the audience, we're also in your beta. And to find out that there's 400 other developers, we now feel a little less special. But we're really excited about what you guys are doing. And all of the AR cloud companies that are here doing AR cloud tech stacks, that could potentially change all of this too. So multiplayer, spatial awareness, we're really excited for it, but it could make all of this old even next year. So hopefully next year will be a great example of what we're building. We are building some stuff on PlaceNote that we'll be demoing next year. Sorry, trying to get through a bunch of stuff in quick order. So we thought it was good spatial awareness for light space. Go play with it if you try it. Also, you can check out that spreadsheet if you're interested in contributing to ratings or whatever. Here's my contact information. It's almost lunchtime, so we'll probably be having sushi and beer downstairs if you guys need to find us. But that's how you can find me online. Any questions? Cool.